America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I tell you what, it is a beautiful spring morning here. Beautiful. I'm gonna miss the winter. I'm gonna hate the summer, but I'll tell you what, we're having some beautiful spring mornings here. I'm not complaining about that. I did already hike today, actually. Me and Silas took our hike already this morning. Turns out he's a little sick, so he's not going to school today. But I figured now that our hike is done, and I'm still trying to get healthier and lose some weight and just, be active and whatnot, it feels like a good time and a good day for me to just do a second hike. So that's what I'm gonna do. Did 2 miles with Silas. I'll be doing 6 miles on this one, so that'll give me a total of 8 miles for the day. Can't really complain about that. What else going on? Let's see. Been working on my 𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪. Super fun. He's becoming very capable, even without me giving him a whole bunch of super crazy tools. I will be hooking up, I shouldn't say I will. I think I will be hooking up 𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙 Opus 4.6 to my 𝗪𝗪𝗪 soon. Not today. That's going to take too much time. I don't really have time for that. I have a lot that I need to be doing. I'm a little bit behind. Well, I'm a lot behind. I'm always quite behind, if I'm telling the truth. But I'm going to be focusing on some work today. But just know that in the very, very, very near future, I will be plugging in. Boy, I smell a lot of natural gas. Like a lot. Where is that coming from? That's not good. Oh, no, I don't. You know what? I think I hear a septic getting pumped somewhere. That's what that noise is. I'll bet you I'm just smelling someone's septic that's been opened up. Doesn't seem like that smell should carry this far, though. I'm gonna have to check on that when I come back. If the smell is in the exact same place when I come back, and if I don't see any sign of a septic getting pumped up here, then I'll be a little worried, because it does smell quite a bit like natural gas right on that corner there. Travis Burleson, good to see you, sir. Good morning. Well, I got the Handyman's legal guide. Can't remember the exact title, but something to the effect of "Don't Get Caught, the Unlicensed Handyman's Legal Guide." Something to that effect. I got that video done yesterday. Got it recorded. Funny enough, I ended up getting super upset. Part of the process for making that video is... Sorry, I know I'm distracted. I'm trying to... Yeah, I think I see a septic pumping truck way over there. I bet you that's what I was smelling. Part of the process for this legal guide was to go find some B-roll of handymen and unlicensed contractors getting arrested in these stings that they do. And I was weirdly sensitive to it. I knew I didn't like it, but I was weirdly sensitive to it. Like, it actually kind of really changed my mood and upset me to watch. You know, some of these guys are scam artists, and they deserve to be arrested. But a lot of these guys are just guys. They're just like you and me, you know, and they want to start a handyman business, and rent's due, and the electric bill is due, and the car payment's due, and the truck's acting weird, and it needs to go to the mechanic, and everything's due, and there's no money in the bank. and somebody responded to your Craigslist ad and asked you to do a thing that you know how to do, and you know how to do it safely, and then you show up, to this Craigslist ad call, and you end up getting arrested, not because you did something that was truly dangerous, and not because you were trying to scam anybody, but simply because you didn't buy into the racket that is contractors' licenses. And I don't mean that they're all rackets and that they're always rackets. There's a good reason behind that licensing process. I want to say hypothetically, but it's not even hypothetical. There really is. There's a good reason behind it. There are good reasons to have that system in place, but the system isn't used these days the way that it was actually hypothetically intended. What it's become is a protection racket, a pay-to-play racket, where the idea is, hey, you're in my territory, you're okay doing business in my territory, but if you want to do business in my territory, you're going to have to pay a 10% fee, or you're going to have to pay whatever my fee is. And if you do pay my fee, I've got your back and I'll protect you. But if you don't pay my fee, it sure would be a shame if somebody came in here and destroyed this business. And that's what a lot of it feels like to me a lot of times. And I understand the argument from licensed plumbers and licensed electricians. We've all seen unlicensed people do bad work, dangerous work. We've also all seen licensed people do bad work and dangerous work. And speaking from experience, I'm not gonna say licensed people keep handymen busy fixing their problems. Just like the licensed people shouldn't say handymen keep us busy fixing their problems. The truth is, people on both sides suck. There's really shitty plumbers, that have a license. There's really shitty electricians that have licenses. There's really shitty unlicensed handymen, and there's also great examples in each of those fields as well. And when it comes down to it, these companies, well, not these companies, these registrars of contractors, these licensing authorities, what they are is a business that sells licenses, just like a business that sells soda. It's in their best interest to get everybody to buy a soda. If your business is selling licenses, it's in your best interest to get everybody to buy licenses. And one of the best ways to do that is to go around pretending as if jobs that cost over $1,000 are somehow dangerous, and that you're protecting the consumer by not allowing the consumer and the service provider to come to their own private agreement as to what work they want to ask each other to do and what they want to pay for that work to be done. That is true freedom, is the ability, take raw milk for an example. You can't sell raw milk, even person to person. My neighbor can't legally milk a goat, put it in a jar, and sell it to me. And that's absurd. I'm an adult. I can choose what I want to put in my body. And my neighbor is an adult, and they can choose what to do with their goat. And the two of us can come together, and it can just be my responsibility. If I want to verify whether or not that milk is safe to drink, I can do my own damn research. I don't need the government getting in between. Just like a homeowner doesn't need the government saying, hey, if you want your water heater replaced, yeah, even though there are 1,000 guys who know how to do that, who would be willing to do it for $400 labor, we're going to force you to go with somebody who bought into our racket, someone that we're protecting, and we're not going to go mess their business up because they paid us our cut. You have to go with that guy. And because there's not enough of that guy, you're going to have to pay him $1,200 labor instead of paying the handyman $400 or $600 or $800 or whatever the number is. So I watched a lot of these guys getting arrested or just getting huge fines, and getting their businesses shut down. And it just kind of upset me. And I know I'm going to get a certain type of comment on this video, especially after the fact, not usually during, but I'm going to get a bunch of comments about how, handymen, you know, embarrass the trades, and it's handymen that keep them busy, and it's handyman this, handyman that we're not out there doing a good job. I've done a lot of plumbing and electrical, only the plumbing and electrical that I'm legal to do. And almost all of my plumbing and electrical work has been of a higher quality than almost all of the certified licensed plumbing work that I've followed behind. I'm the guy who closes up the drywall after the plumber cuts it open. So I see exactly what they all do, and they're all licensed. My property managers have licensed plumbers, you know, on call that they use for all of this. Oh, that's neat. And I'm the one going behind them, and they do shit work. They just do. There's no way around it. You know, they leave flux all over the joint. You may not know this, but flux is corrosive. So if you sweat a copper joint and you use a lot of flux, whether it's a lot or a little, doesn't even matter. If you sweat a copper joint and you use flux, which you almost certainly do, additional flux, more than the rosin core that's inside your solder, and you leave that on, that corrodes that joint over time. The fact that you're a licensed plumber doesn't guarantee that you know that. You don't have to actually know that to get a plumbing license. You just have to jump through a series of hoops and hypothetically pass a test, which is usually open book these days. And even if it's not, you can just memorize things without really knowing what they mean. And then you're going around leaving a whole bunch of flux on a whole bunch of joints that's going to eat through everything and cause a leak in the future, among 1,000 other problems that I see. So I guess I'm just bitching because I watched a lot of handymen getting arrested yesterday all over the country. And just the smirks and the smiles and the lies coming out of the mouths of the people that are doing the arresting, or the news organizations that are reporting on it, talking about how they're endangering public safety by agreeing to do a job that's over $1,000. So it was safe when you charged $998 for it. It was perfectly safe for you to do that job. You can put up 9 shelves for $100 each at $900, and that's safe, right? Nobody needs to be protected from you if it's 9 shelves for $900. But if you put up 11 shelves for $1,100, now you're endangering the public. So just pissed me off, gave me a shitty day, but I did get it done. I got the B-roll found and recorded. I've got to clip it all up today for the intro. I actually fully scripted this video, which I don't usually do, but this one I did pretty much fully script, and I think it's going to be a good one, but I got to edit it all today. Everything got filmed and recorded yesterday, so today's going to be a lot of editing, and I think we're going to have ourselves a really good video. Mark said, rip Dawson Leary. Mike Neal, good morning, sir. Thomas said hi. Jay Rory, hey, what's going on, man? How's South Africa going? Said good morning. Wait, Jay Rory, are you in South Africa, or am I confusing you with someone now? I might be confusing you with someone. There's a different Rory, I think, that is from South Africa. Let me know. Misael Salgador, whatever. Misa says hi. Bright the real, I'm just gonna say Bright, said that's a real hat, my boy. Yeah, that's a real hat. It's a nice one, pretty decent one. Look at that. I've already sweated in it enough for it to start coming up through here. What else we got? Hydro said hello. Mr. NA, what's going on, man? Said wait, what happened? Who was getting arrested? Oh, I was downloading, or recording rather, YouTube footage of handymen and unlicensed contractors getting arrested in stings. This has been going on for forever. Like, they've been doing this forever. I just happen to be making a video about it now, so I went to find the footage, because I'm going to be clipping some of those arrests and like the headline news stories about it. I'm going to be clipping some of those for B-roll for the video. So in order to clip them, I had to watch them. And it just got me really upset watching them, because so many of them could have just been you or me. Could have just been, and most of them were. You can tell by the looks on their faces. They're not scam artists who just got caught. They're just fucking guys, man, trying to pay their bills. And don't get me wrong, I mean, y'all hear me preach about it constantly. Don't do shit you're not legal to do. I say that, man, every opportunity I get. There's nothing about this channel. Nobody would ever walk away from this channel thinking, hey, this guy thinks it's cool to break the law. Absolutely not. The only thing I have to say about the subject is that you should never do anything you're not legally allowed to be doing. And everybody makes their own choices beyond that. But watching these guys get arrested, some of them just kind of messed me up, I guess. And it was also partially just watching the glee of the people who are arresting them, just thinking, are you so desensitized from your law enforcement job? Have you just become so desensitized that you're able to hold a smile on your face while you're putting this guy, don't get me wrong, you got to do it, right? You got to enforce the law. Whatever the law is, that's the law, and we have to enforce the law. Otherwise, we're not a country of laws. I'm not saying don't enforce the law. I'm saying, how do you have a smile on your face while you're doing it, though? You know, if I was Border Patrol and I had to catch people and send them back to wherever they came from, I don't think it's wrong to catch them and send them back. But man, I sure would not enjoy being the guy. I'd enjoy being the guy catching the criminals and sending them back. But if I was down here, you know, I've literally run across them. Like when I'm camping up in the mountains, especially in the 𝗬𝗢𝗨'𝗟𝗟 Mountains, which basically border Mexico. And they'll just walk down a trail through the campsite, and they don't speak English, and you know, they point and they're like, Phoenix Norte, and I'm like, ugh. I mean, yeah, Phoenix is technically north, but shit, man, it's hundreds of miles away from here. And there's a couple mountain ranges between you and Phoenix. But I guess my point is, it's one thing to enforce a law. It's another to enjoy punishing people for things that weren't done with any sort of malice, you know? I guess that's more of the feeling that came out of it. Misa said, any advice for a guy starting over in a new town? Thank you for your videos, have been encouraging. Same advice, you know, for a guy starting out for the first time in his town, or same advice for a guy, I suppose, still in the same town, is just wake up every day early and do all the things that you know you need to be doing. I would bet that we all kind of know what we should be doing most of the time, you know, and then we get to fight ourselves and force ourselves to actually do those things. So, hold on, let me check my dings. Cool. That was 𝗪𝗛𝗪𝗧. I love you, Ed. But, where was I at? What on earth was I saying now? Oh yeah, the advice. Just, you know, I think we all know what we should be doing, and we all have to fight ourselves between doing what's comfortable right now, what feels good right now, you know, what we want on a selfish level to be doing in any given moment to bring us happiness in that moment. And then there's the things that we know we should be doing that are going to bring us something much better in the long run. And I guess the goal is really to just overcome, not even overcome, I guess, but just discipline yourself to where you're waking up every morning. You know, I mean, it's like guys email me and they say that they, you know, hey, trying to get with property managers, but everybody has their own in-house maintenance team. And I email back and I'm like, what does everybody mean, really? When you say everybody, do you mean I researched and documented the names and numbers and addresses and websites of every single property management company within 30 miles of me? I called, or better yet, I went by in person to all 67 of them. And every single one out of this, I did all the things. I showed up in person, clean, with my onboarding package, shook their hand, gave them some cookies, and everybody said, no, we have our own in-house team. I know that's not true. I know it's not true. And then the question becomes, okay, well, when you say I can't find any work, are you saying, not you specifically, of course, but when you say I can't find any work, are you saying I just spent the entire day from 6 a.m. until now, 7 p.m., pounding the pavement, knocking on doors, going business to business. I called every realtor. I drove to every realtor's office. I posted on Craigslist. I posted on Facebook. I made a profile on Nextdoor. I did all the things, and I have not stopped since I woke up, 13 hours ago. I have not stopped trying to find clients. Is that what you mean? Because it's usually not. So yeah, my advice is discipline yourself, make yourself get up every morning, and make yourself spend every minute of every day doing the things that I'm not going to tell you what you should be doing, you know the answer to that, but actually do it. Follow through on that. Love yourself enough to, what does Jordan Peterson say? Treat yourself as if you're someone who's responsible for your future, or something to that effect. Essentially, his messaging is, instead of treating yourself the way you just view yourself, instead pretend like the yourself person is somebody else, and you're responsible for that somebody else. Treat yourself the way that you would treat that person if you were responsible for their future, and you'll probably do pretty good. Jim said, were they unlicensed? Some of them were. So yes, some of them were agreeing to do work that legally requires a license, and they weren't licensed. Some of them were not agreeing to do work that they're not legal to do, but they didn't have, like, for example, sometimes, and of course they're not arresting, by the way, the guys who just have like a magnet on the side of their truck. But what they also look at is your Craigslist ad itself, if it doesn't say not a licensed handyman, because in most states, or not a licensed contractor. In most states, you're legally required, if you're doing any kind of trades work and you don't have a contractor's license. And this means whether you're offering to do, so let's say you're just offering to hang shelves, right? You're not offering to do anything that even requires a contractor's license. You're still, in most states, required to put that on all marketing materials. And marketing materials includes your website, your Craigslist ad, your Facebook ad, your business cards, and your truck magnet. So a lot of guys are showing up and, they're saying, no, I'm not licensed. I'm not going to be able to do that project for you. And then they're just getting them on whatever technicality they can find. Like they've got a magnet on the side of their truck with their phone number, but it doesn't say not a licensed contractor. Stuff like that too. Man, y'all got some weird names. 𝗬𝗢𝗟𝗓. So what are you doing? Just roaming around? Well, I have a 6-mile hike I do. It's a 6-mile hike. Same hike every day. Hey, Natasha said, hey there. You out with a search party? That's funny. Yeah, that is going on around here. No, I'm just on my hike. I hope you're doing good, Natasha. Mr. N.A. said, how is that even arrestable? Fines, sure, but arrests. It depends on what it is, and it depends on the state. Every state has different laws. Some states, they straight up arrest them. Like they literally, I hate it. They literally put them in handcuffs in some states. Other states, they arrest them on paper, like it's technically an arrest, but they don't have to go to the station. They just sign paperwork and then agree to show up in court later. And sometimes it's just a ticket, like just a citation, different levels of misdemeanor citations. And then, of course, all of them end up with a court date. Mr. NA said, had a company contact me about onboarding to subcontract for some commercial maintenance. Any advice? I would say, you know, this is a general statement, but I would say generally speaking, the fewer middlemen between you and your ultimate client, the better. So if you can cut out that middleman, you know, if you want commercial clients, if they're subcontracting to you, immediately that means, and especially for commercial work, they're probably charging double what they're paying you, just in labor. So, you know, if it's $300 in materials and $500 in labor that you get, then they are almost certainly charging $1,000 for your labor, and they're paying you $500. So, you know, it's not a bad deal. I mean, if you need work and they got work, take the work. Maybe use that commercial work to learn the commercial world so you can figure out how to approach getting your own commercial clients. But I kind of always, you know, but here I am, I'm working for property managers who are a middleman between homeowners and me, homeowners who rent out their homes. However, I do think in that particular scenario, having that middleman is better, because if you try to work with people who own rental homes, they're some of the cheapest motherfuckers in the world. They really are. They want everything dirt cheap. And it's usually when they get on with a property management company that they kind of learn how the whole system really actually works, and they settle in and just let the system do its job. And when you're working with them directly, man, they want to ask you 1,000 questions. They want to get their fingers in every job. They want to follow around behind you and inspect everything. You know, they feel good if they can, if you do a full interior paint job, they feel good about themselves if they can go through the house and find 3 places where you got a tiny drop of paint on a hinge and ask you to drive all the way back over there to touch that up. You know, I'm not saying you shouldn't do it. I'm not saying it's okay to make mistakes either. I mean, it is okay to make mistakes, but I'm not saying that it's okay to make them and just leave them. You should want your work to be the highest quality it can be, but working with them homeowners sucks. But yeah, I would suggest if you can get directly with commercial clients, they generally, because they are commercial, they understand how businesses run, and they're not going to give you as hard of a time as a residential client. So I guess I'm going to say, go ahead and take some work from them. See if you can learn the industry and see if you can cut out that middleman. Or if it's a great middleman that just keeps you so booked with work, you don't know what to do with yourself and your bank account's just overflowing with money, take that deal, I guess. You know, it doesn't sound like a bad deal. Jeff, good morning. Travis Burleson said, Mr. NA, is it BlackRock based out of NY? RH said, what do you think of the Bugs Bunny halftime performance? I didn't watch it. I watched the Turning Point USA performance. So the only thing I do know, well, maybe I don't know. Y'all tell me, who knows? But what I did understand about the Bad Bunny halftime performance is that it was either all in Spanish or mostly in Spanish. Like very little of it, if any, was actually in English. Which, I mean, to be clear, I'm not mad. I don't watch football anymore. I haven't watched the Super Bowl 10 years, maybe? I could have watched one in the last 10 years, and maybe I don't remember. Maybe I was just at somebody's house on that Sunday and it happened to be on. But I'm not in that world anymore. You know, I'm building a business. If I wanted to get super lofty about myself, I'd say I'm building an empire. But I'm building something for me. I'm very focused on my future and my family's future. And I don't have time, literally, for any of that. I have zero time for sports or any kind of entertainment or even hobbies. But my understanding is that most of the halftime show, if not all of it, from Bad Bunny, the lead person, was not in English. And I mean, I'm sorry, but even though I'm not mad about it, I can just look at that and say, well, shit, if all the Americans watching this American Super Bowl If most of them don't speak Spanish, then what you've done is you've chosen to hire somebody to do your Super Bowl halftime show literally in a language that your core fan base doesn't even speak. It would be equally absurd to have a Chinese person doing it all in Chinese. We don't speak Chinese, we don't speak Spanish, we speak English. So it would make sense to me that if your goal was to give a good halftime show to your core audience, then you would do it in the language that they speak. But I want to reiterate, this is not like a hill that I feel like dying on. This is not a battle that I care to take on. I don't really care what the NFL does. I don't care what the NBA does. I care what my business does. I care whether or not, my YouTube subscribers are finding value in my content. I care whether or not my property managers are finding value in my work. I care whether or not my children feel like they get enough time with me and that they feel loved and safe. I care that my wife feels secure and that she understands that I'm building a future for us and that she will always be number one to me. I care about so many things. And, one of the things that's just not on the list of things I care about is who's performing at the Super Bowl. I think if you have time to worry about all of that, you need bigger things in your life that can push those insignificant things out. Because we're taking America back. We're making America great again. That's already happening. Getting the Super Bowl to do a halftime show in English is small potatoes for me. Misa said, my problem is being Latino with a license and doing it right versus all the other Latinos with no license getting paid under the table for dirt low prices. How do I compete? You're better than them, Anybody who's, just by default, anybody who's doing work under the table for cheap prices, I guess what I'll say, this is a saying that I've been using a lot, is there's a client for every price. There really is. So, you are Latino. Hypothetically, I'm assuming that what you're implying to me is that you're doing good quality work. You're running a professional business. You're doing good, high quality work at a fair price. And other people, regardless of their skin color, are undercutting you by doing under the table. There's Chucks in a truck, or Jose in a truck, or whatever you want to call it, but you're being undercut. That's okay. They're not actually undercutting you, and they're not actually taking your clients. What they're doing is they're taking their clients, because there are clients who only want to work with an under the table Chuck in a truck. They literally call you and say, hey, if I pay cash, can you give me a discount? What that means is, hey, are you working under the table and not paying taxes? Because I would like some of that savings. That's all they're saying. So I think you're safe. They're not don't look at it as them taking your customers. Partially because, think of this as well. Let's say they're taking all your customers. Let's say that's the conclusion you come to. They're taking all your customers. Well, you don't have a solution for that. If that's the problem, is that they are doing something that's harming you and you can't go stop them, well, that means you're just a victim and there's nothing you can do. However, if you look at it in terms of it's not their fault. What you should do is look at it and say, I am not going after the right customers. If they're taking my customers, it's because I've chosen the type of customer that is going to hire them. So as soon as you can figure out, and this is what I did building my business, and it wasn't easy. I had to look at everything bad that happened, and there was a lot, man. I fell upstairs, up, not down. I fell upstairs my entire way into this business, just bashing myself up and suffering every day along the way. And the only thing that fixed any of it was every time something went wrong, even if it was somebody else's actions that harmed me, that caused the suffering, my only question was, how could I have prevented this? Not how could they have prevented this? I can't prevent them from doing what they do, but how could I have prevented myself from being harmed by that in the first place? How could I have just been in a completely different situation that didn't involve any of that. And that's what I do, is just forget about who is or isn't stealing any jobs from you. Find the types of clients who don't hire illegal immigrants. That'll be the way to do it. Or legal immigrants, or just white redneck chucking a truck, you know. They're all, it's the skin color and the nationality doesn't even really matter. There are also plenty of rednecks out there, you know, just doing the same shit. So that's what I got to say about that. Mr. NA said, at Travis, not directly, but they own everything if you think about it. They do. Travis said, Mr. NA, if they try to tell you what to charge by stating an unreasonably low budget, I wouldn't do business with them. I agree with that 100%. Mr. NA said, at Travis, they claimed I quote on my own rates and there's no agreements to sign, never been contacted about commercial work before, so I don't know what to expect. Cody said, preach, brother. Alan Victory said, is this Uncle Buck? Yeah. Travis said, the payment terms. Mr. NA said, they said 30. Yeah, that 30 is pretty common. Commercials usually 60 or more, actually. Alan said, is this Wild Bill? Something like that. Natasha said, doing good. Remodels on RVs, less stress, more fun. Right on. Travis said, sounds like a good thing to give a 3-month trial, see if it works for you. Yeah, there you go. I have to think back to what the conversation probably was when the messages were coming through, because I talk too much. Alan said, is this little house on the prairie? Yes, it is. I would love something like that. Mr. NA said, I'd assume they'd ask me to cover materials. Absolutely. Most of the time, almost 100% of the time, that's what they're going to do. Cody said, just got my business up and running, landed my first client with an 85-unit apartment complex, old building, tons of work, and an owner who just wants problem solved, doesn't gripe about price. Man, that is the place to be right there, sir. Do a good job for that guy. Do an outstanding. Prioritize that guy who has a mountain of work and doesn't complain about pricing as long as you solve the problem. Don't be shortcutting his jobs. I mean, you know me, I'm gonna say don't shortcut anybody's jobs, but especially don't shortcut his jobs. Give him exactly what he's asking for. Alan said, I think his horse ran off and left him, so he's stuck out on the range. Let's get that hat. I have to keep taking it off because it gets so damn sweaty. Mr. NA said, at Cody, how did you land that? Alan said, that big bowl of chili has to be walked off. That's true. I am walking off a bowl of chili, basically. Cody said, luck and prayer, honestly. My mom was a property manager, so I understand the needs and have some experience. Client happened to call me last week before I got my license, asking me if I was interested. Edward Pitkin, good to see you, sir. Travis said, at Mr. NA, a lot of commercial sites have maintenance storage areas, so always check there for materials first. Most times you'll be expected to front the materials, even with residential PMs. That is correct, most of the time. Snake said, where'd you get that giant taco shell? Oh, this one came from Boot Barn. However, we've got a few Cavenders that just showed up in Tucson, and it's actually, well, I'm not going to show you. I'll have to bend over too much, and I'm an old man, but these boots are ready to be replaced, so I'm probably going to be getting some new boots soon, and I'm thinking about, instead of Boot Barn, I might head over to this Cavenders and see what that place is like. Cody said, a handyman mentor of mine said, to do exactly as Ray is saying here, learn how to keep the mistakes from repeating, consider all mistakes as tuition, and don't pay it twice. Don't pay it twice. It really was, man. The best thing I did was just, I mean, over and over and over. The things that were causing my suffering were not choices that I made. It wasn't me deciding to like shortcut, you know, some wiring and accidentally burn a shed down. It wasn't my mistakes. But it was things that if I dug into it deeply enough, you know, like there was the day that I realized you can't have a good business with bad clients. That's my little catchphrase that I use for it now. But I had to learn that lesson. You know, there was a time when I thought, well, I need to pay my bills. I got to pay my bills. I need to pay my bills. I got to pay my bills. I got to do what I got to do. And this bad client, despite being bad, is at least a client. And I kept trying to make bad clients happy and realized, my God, if this is what I do, if nothing changes, right? If nothing changes, nothing changes. So the only way out of that situation is to stop doing work for that client. And that means no money in the bank. And that means I paid my mortgage 2 months late, you know, and got calls from the bank talking about repossessing my house and paying them what I could and telling them I had more work coming and begging them to let me keep my house. And I kept my house and I found new clients. But if all I'd have done is just blame the client and just say, oh, it's not my fault. Well, you know, if it's not my fault, then I guess there ain't shit I can do about it. If it's not my fault, then I can't change it because I can only change what I do. So you have to look at things from the perspective of what decision did I make that if it had been different would not have landed me here. And sometimes the answer to that is if I wouldn't have continued working for that client, I wouldn't have landed in the very predictable place that I landed. So I agree with me 100%. E-Dog. Oh, it's crazy. Jay Rory said, sorry, I was driving and not able to respond. I'm in the Nashville. Oh, yeah, we just talked. That's right. There's a Rory that was on here a few weeks ago. There's a few South Africans in here, actually, but there was a Rory, and I confused you with that other Rory. Probably will do it again, by the way, because I have a horrible memory. 𝗟𝗘𝗔𝗥𝗡 said, finally trying to start my business after watching you for over a year. Congratulations, sir. If you've been watching me for a year, you already know this, but don't hesitate to reach out at bulletproofhandymanbusiness@gmail.com. By the way, now that I finally have time for this, the comments have died down enough and I've shut my mouth enough to catch up on the comments. Let's go back and talk about we're calling it HCC 2026 Texas. This is the Handyman Retreats package, I suppose you could call it. Long story short, actually it's not going to be short. It's going to be a long story because that's what I do. Next Insurance has sponsored some of these before, and they just got bought by Ergo, E-R-G-O, and it took some time, but we finally, when I say we, I mean me and my rep, who is like the middleman between me and Ergo Next Insurance. He finally was able to convince them to sponsor another one of our retreats. So this is going to be, there will be an event today. I'm pretty sure I'll actually get the event posted at bulletproofhandyman.com today. But there will be an event today posted that you can sign up for. It's going to be at Bonham State Park, B-O-N-H-A-M, Bonham State Park in Texas. It's a little bit northeast of Dallas-Fort Worth. It's a nice little state park with a nice little lake in it. By the way, you can fish in Texas inside a state park as long as the lake is all inside the state park. Then you can fish on the shores of that lake without a license in Texas, even if you're not a resident of Texas. So yesterday I booked, you and me, I booked us a barracks situation. Turns out Texas State Parks took over a whole bunch of old Army Corps of Engineers stuff. Army Corps of Engineers was responsible for building a lot of the dams and the reservoirs and stuff all over the country. And the state of Texas took over a lot of those places, a lot of those lakes, and turned them into parks, and they still have the barracks that were there. So I have already paid for it myself yesterday out of my own pocket. I've already paid for it. We have barracks to host up to, not that we should get all the way to this top number, but we can host up to 94 people. I'll probably figure out a cutoff. I'm going to cut it off at some number like 60 or something because, you know, let's just say shit's expensive. And I can already tell by what I had to pay for the barracks versus what Next Insurance is paying me I can already tell I'm going to be out of pocket probably 500 up to $1,000. Probably not more than $1,000, but that all depends on how many people I allow to show up, because I'm feeding everybody. And if I'm feeding everybody, you know, it's going to cost me, I usually budget something like, I think $6 per meal or something like that per person. And we're going to be there 4 days and 3 nights. It's a lot of meals. It's a lot of food. I got to do all the cooking because that's just part of the deal. That's what I do. I host you guys. So I'm probably not going to allow 94 people, and I'm probably not going to allow 80, and I'm probably not going to allow 75. We'll see how many people try to sign up. If we do get to some crazy point, like for example, let's say we get 60 people signed up and then there's 30 people saying they want to come too, maybe I'll revisit things and figure out if there's some way for everybody to chip in like an extra $25 each, and then we can purchase more food, and I can maybe even use that to hire one of y'all to help with all the cooking and cleaning. We'll see. But as of right now, it's all free. It's all paid for by Next. It's a bunkhouse situation, so you'll literally be in a bunk, like a, you know, there's an upper and a lower, single mattresses for single people. We'll have 4 buildings that host 20 people each for a total of 80 barracks. 3 of them will be for men, 1 of them will be for women, because generally at these events we have a 3-to-1 ratio of men to women, roughly. And then there's a staff building that I'll definitely be in, and I'm thinking of asking for volunteers who want to help with the cooking and the cleanup and just some general organization. So probably what I'll do is, if you're a volunteer, maybe I'll even get some staff shirts or bring like some jobber shirts for y'all or something. But if you're a volunteer, then you'll probably get to stay in the staff building with me. There's also a big group hall, dining hall, whatever you want to call it, with a commercial kitchen and plenty of tables and chairs. So that's going to be cool. But it's all free, man. It's all free. Next Insurance finally paid for it. So it's very awesome. That means I've got Ergo. Oh, here's the important part, right? I need to show Ergo/Next Insurance, the company that bought them. I need to be able to show them that there's an ROI on this, that if you invest in us, we invest in you. What I need you guys to do is I need you to go, like today, literally right now, today, I need you to go to Next Insurance's website using my link in the description. Use my link, click on my link, and go get a quote. If it ain't the right quote for you, don't buy it. I'm not asking anybody to buy anything. I'm asking you to get a quote and just see. Give them the consideration. That's what tells them that they should continue investing in our community. Because what we're doing now that it's officially approved is I have a baseline from the last few months of what our normal clicks would be for them getting quotes from y'all. And I need to be able to show that when they sponsor these big events, they get a return on that investment. And the return is that you guys go and get quotes. Not conversions. You don't have to buy it. Just get the damn quote. And if you do that, it's going to tell them, you know what? After this camp out, we need to commit to another camp out. We need to keep these camp outs going, because when we pay that community to go be a community, when we finance those goals of theirs, we get a return on our investment. That's just how the system works. That's what I've put together. If y'all want, the next one will be Denver. We're doing Texas in April. We'll probably do Denver. If I get another sponsor, then we'll do Denver probably in June. And could be July, but probably June. And then after that, I have to choose between Florida. Actually, I don't have to choose shit. Like, I can do whatever I want. But 2 of the biggest next places are going to be Florida and California. And then specifically, there needs to be a Southern California and a Northern California. I have tons of subscribers in each. So like Yosemite National Park and then some other national park probably. Or state park, wherever we end up having it. But, so that's the deal. I just wanted y'all to know Next Insurance finally, after a couple months of me really starting to think that this new business Ergo was just not going to work out, after a couple months, I guess they finally, got to take a good look at all the stats from the past and the deliverables and all of that. And they decided we are still worth taking a chance on. So let's just show them, that if they want to continue to invest in us, we'll continue to invest in them. Travis said, after a year of payment through barter, I finally paid off the truck. Awesome, man. It's nice to own shit, isn't it? It's really nice to just fully own, what you have. There we go. Becoming an old man. Tell you what, these hikes are good for me, though. I can feel it already. I just started them back up a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago, I guess, something like that. I can feel a significant difference again. So, the camp out's coming. I don't think there's a lot more to say about that. Just want y'all to know it's free. You don't have to pay. If you want to show up, man, I'm telling you, these things, I use the word magical, and I know it's kind of a gay word to use about it, but I use the word magical. These events are magical for so many people. You show up and you realize I'm a handyman and I've been alone this whole time because I'm a single owner operator, and I don't have employees or supervisors or bosses or coworkers. And for the first time, you find yourself around, a dozen, or at this event, 3 dozen or more other handymen. And you start going, oh my God, like all these problems that I had that I thought were just my unique mistakes and my unique misunderstandings of the system and my unique challenges that I had to overcome alone. You find out everybody had the exact same experiences that you did. They had the same challenges. Some of them found the same solutions as you. Some of them found different solutions from you. But everybody had all these very similar challenges. And it makes you feel a lot better about things. And then, the experienced guys start giving advice to the inexperienced guys. And sometimes the inexperienced guys, because they were inexperienced, tried new things, that other people were certain could never work, and they did work. And so the experienced guys also are always telling me that they went home with some actual newfound vigor and some newfound knowledge and some new plans and stuff. So, these things are worth attending for sure. Just know, I try to always point this out too. This is not like timeshare weekends. Nobody's gonna ask you to buy Next insurance while you're at this camp out. Nobody's gonna pitch you anything, which is actually one of the biggest reasons a lot of sponsors don't want to sponsor the camp out, is they want some sort of control over the actual retreat itself. Like they want me to make everybody like sit down in a room and me give them a class on, how Jobber or Next Insurance or Blue Vine or anybody else, they want me to sit you down at the end in some kind of classroom and convince you to go buy the product. And I'm like, no, man, the event is not about sales. The event is not only is it not about sales, the event itself is the one time in this entire scenario when it's not about you. It's only about the attendees and nobody else. Nobody else at all matters. Once that event starts, until the moment it ends, your brand doesn't exist. It's about the attendees. And I think anybody who's been to these events will confirm that for me, that they've been to them. And nobody has ever asked them or pitched them or tried to train them or teach them about any brand at any of these events. This is for y'all to come together and start your networking and share your knowledge and support each other. There's a handyman van over there. Be funny if he was watching me live stream. A lot of new flowers coming up lately. That's why I'm rarely looking at the camera at this point. There's just, the desert's starting to do its little spring bloom. It's not even spring, it's like a late winter bloom. There's almost two different blooms down here in Tucson. There's the like January winter rains and early February, I guess, too. But there's these January rains that we get that really, hold on. This is a nice one here, if y'all want to take a look. But we have these January rains, just very cold and wet. It'll rain for like 3 days. Everything can get really soaked. And there's a certain set of plants that'll start blooming from that. And then there's kind of some spring rains when it's a little warmer, and they produce some different flowers. But these early spring ones are the best. I like them. Travis said, for sure, I registered it to the business in hopes of making every mile deductible. Right on, buddy. I love it. Honda said, hi. Mr. NA said, should our vans or trucks be in the name of the business? My work van is in my personal name. There's good reasons and bad reasons to do all of it. I try not to get too deep into it because I know that I'm not the systems expert. What I do know is that one common pathway. So first of all, and this all kind of, it depends on sort of what your business structure is, if you're an LLC or not. But you can deduct your mileage, generally speaking, whether your business owns the vehicle or not. However, one of the points of the business owning your vehicle is, let's say, you know, you're looking at all of your deductible expenses. You brought in $150,000 this year, and you now need to find deductions. Every time you can add a deduction, every time you can claim something was a cost of doing business, you get to deduct that from your total revenue, and that's no longer a taxable amount of money. So let's say at the end of the year, you're sitting at $60,000 of taxable money that you can't find. You've paid yourself your paycheck and everything. You can't find any other way to spend this money on the business to make it a tax deduction. So you've either got to pay like 30% taxes on that $60,000, or you find more deductions. One possible deduction is that your business can purchase your vehicle from you. And as long as your income, your personal income, is low enough that selling that vehicle doesn't induce new taxes that you now have to pay in income taxes, then what you've done by selling your vehicle to your business is you've given, maybe you sell that truck to your business for 10 grand. Well, now your business just spent 10 grand. That's a tax deductible expense, because now typically you would depreciate your vehicle a certain percentage per year over a certain number of years. So maybe a $10,000 truck, you can depreciate $1,000 a year for 10 years. Well, the way it works with the big beautiful bill and with the, what do they call it? There's a name for it. Give me a second. I said it yesterday or the day before. What's it called? It's not top up. I want to say top up. It's not top up. Anyways, it's some kind of, again, this is why I always tell y'all to get an accountant. Your accountant knows all this stuff, and that's who should be answering this question. But the big beautiful bill contains a provision to make it so that instead of depreciating that truck $1,000 per year for 10 years, meaning taking a $1,000 deduction from your taxable revenue per year, instead of $1,000 per year for 10 years, instead you can take all of it year one. So you buy that truck for 10 grand and boom, you just lowered your taxable income from, well, your taxable revenue for your business. You just lowered that from 60 grand down to 50 grand. So now that 50 grand is what you're paying taxes on, which means if you would have been paying 30% taxes, selling your truck to your business just removed essentially $300 in taxes that you now no longer need to pay because you just simply on paper sold your truck to your business. And of course, it also means anything that now needs to be done to that truck as far as maintenance, which you can do this if it's not in the business's name. But it is a little easier if it's in the business's name than, you know, the registration fee that you pay every year on it is a tax deductible expense. You don't have to separate out how much of this truck's usage was personal use and how much was business use. If the business owns it, it's all business use. You still need to keep track of your mileage and stuff. But I'm just saying, it's all just kind of assumed if the engine goes out, that's a business expense. You don't have to say, well, it's my personal truck and my business truck, so the $5,000 I spent on fixing the engine, $3,000 of that is for the business deduction and $2,000 of it is a personal expense. You don't have to do that anymore if your business owns it, assuming you only use it for business, which you should be able to, even if it's a personal trip you're taking, do some business. Make a business call while you're taking that trip, and now you're in your truck and it's a business expense. Edward said, I'd love to make the trip to Texas and volunteer. Man, I would love that, Edward. I'd love to see you again. I would love to have you volunteer. I'm gonna need some help with this one. And by the way, guys, if Edward shows up, I will tell you something. Edward is someone that you should listen to. If Edward's talking to you, it doesn't mean you need to do what he says, just like you don't need to do what I say. You should run your business your way. But if Edward's dropping some truth bombs about how he runs his business, it's because Edward has a handyman business. Very similar to mine, almost identical to mine. He also serves clients that I don't serve, but Edward is somebody that if he comes to this camp out, you know, listen to what he says. Find some time to sit down and talk to him and pick his brain about your problems, because he 100% is gonna have some very valuable insight for you one way or another. I really want to go exploring out here, but I don't know who owns which land. Travis said, at Mr. Renee, is that a question to ask? That is a question to ask your CPA. I have other reasons to have the business own it than taxes. Yep. Ask your CPA. And, you know, for anybody who says CPAs are just too expensive, they're not, man. They will save you. Just about any CPA I've ever met, yes, they're expensive. But that's like saying, if you could purchase a box that had $1,000 in it and you could purchase the box for $300. Yes, that's an expensive box. It's $300. That costs a lot of money, but it's got $1,000 in it. It's the same as, you know, if you purchase Jobber. Oh, Jobber's expensive. Jobber, the grow plan is, you know, to $268 a month or whatever it is. Yeah, but it has $1,000 inside it for you. So it actually doesn't really cost much. Your CPA is the same thing. You might have to pay them $1,300 a year, or you might have to pay them $600 twice a year, or whatever. You know, some of them are $600 a year, some of them are $3,000 a year. It doesn't really matter. Whatever you're paying your CPA, I promise you, they're putting $8,000 back in your pocket. They're putting $13,000 back in your pocket. They're telling you what you need to know about how the law is actually written. You know, when you talk about rich people not paying their fair share, rich people, you know, there's some who are breaking the law and they get arrested and go to jail eventually. But rich people not paying their fair share is kind of a misnomer. What's actually happening is rich people are paying their taxes exactly the way the law tells them they have to. And if the law says, for example, like these new Trump accounts, I haven't dove into the ins and outs, so I'm not going to make too many claims, but I did look into it previously, and it's a tax shelter as well. Yes, it's a Trump account. Yes, it's an investment account for your kids that grows over time, that will make sure that, you know, if you start it when they're 1 year old, they're going to be able to retire comfortably, even if they don't necessarily work super hard their whole life and put money back. But at the same time, it's also a place to shelter a lot of your money from taxes. So, you know, when people talk about rich people not paying their fair share, they're just paying exactly what the code says they need to pay. And your accountant knows the code. Your CPA knows the code. And they're just going to tell you straight up. They're going to say, well, you need to be an S-Corp. And you're going to say, no, my uncle told me that there's no difference and that that's stupid and it's just a con. Okay, well, that's fine. But I mean, the math is the math. And at the end of the year, you become an S corp. Let's say you do $150,000 worth of revenue that year, just worth of labor, right? 150 grand worth of labor. If you pay yourself all of that 150 grand and you're not an S corp, you're going to pay 15% self-employment taxes on that entire 150 grand when you could have elected to file as an S corp, put yourself on payroll for 50 grand a year, 40 grand a year, put yourself on payroll, and now you're paying 15% self-employment taxes only on that 50 grand salary. The other 100 grand that you pay yourself, yes, it's personal income. Yes, you do still pay personal income tax on that, but you don't pay that additional 15% self-employment tax. That's insane. Like, do y'all understand the difference there? It's $100,000 a year extra that you don't pay 15% on. So right away, if you're doing 150 grand in labor, or not just 150 grand in labor, but if you can pay yourself 150 grand, if that's what's left over after all the expenses, and you don't become an S corp, it's costing you 15 grand a year to do that. And you think you're saving money because you're not paying a CPA 2 grand a year, when that CPA would have made you an S corp and saved you 15, which means your CPA was actually a $13,000 bonus in your pocket. It's crazy. Don't listen to anybody. Research stuff for yourself, but don't take the stuff for granted from me or anybody else. The numbers are the numbers. And by the way, shameless plug, y'all want to get a S corp filing or start your LLC, because you do have to be an LLC to be an S corp. Got a link in the description for Northwest Registered Agent. They have not sponsored a camp out, which kind of surprises me because I see them spending a lot of money on influencer advertising, and the fact that they haven't wanted to sponsor anything yet is actually kind of surprising to me. I keep thinking that they might. I'm in communication with them, and I'll send them some information and they say, yeah, we'll look into it, but they never do come back about it. But nonetheless, they're a good sponsor, and they can form your LLC. I used them to form mine. I formed Bulletproof Handyman LLC, and I formed my wife's LLC for her tattoo business with Northwest Registered Agent, because they actually are good at it. All right. Now's a good time for questions if y'all have any. Man, it's getting hot already. I hate this. I don't want it to be hot. It's all right. We'll survive. Texas is going to be hot. We're going to be in Texas in April, though. That's storm season. I love storm season. I hope we get slammed while we're there. I love watching just a wall of black coming at me on the horizon, knowing that it's just about to tear shit up. Got a message from a property manager. Oh, not important. All right, no important messages. Travis said, how is her business going? Well, hers is not fully a business yet, depending on how you look at it. She is an LLC. Being an LLC is mostly for the actual limiting of the liability at this phase. So the phase that her tattoo business is in currently is she's doing, a lot of people, when they're still learning how to tattoo, a lot of people are tattooing friends and family and stuff for free. She's not doing them for free because she's good enough now to not do it for free, but she's not good enough yet to be charging full price for it. So right now she has this deal going where until, I think it's March 14th, until March 14th, so Pi Day, on March 14th, she'll start charging more. But between now and then, everybody who books a tattoo with her right now, between now and then, is paying $50 per tattoo. Doesn't matter if they just want like a single letter tattooed on their knuckle, or if they want, like a 4-inch wide rose tattooed on their thigh. She's not doing color, only line work. and she's doing them for $50 each. And this is where she's getting her practice in. So everybody understands when they come into it, the reason it's only $50 is because she is still an apprentice. And she is, you know, she's doing the best job she can do, but you shouldn't expect the same level of quality that you would expect from a full-time experienced tattoo artist. So that's the phase of her business that she's in. So she's not making real money. She's just making enough essentially to cover a little bit of her art time. Well, just a little bit of her time, but her time is basically free. That's the practice. The $50 covers ink and skins and stuff like that. Because what she'll do is, like, before she does your tattoo, she'll practice your tattoo. She'll actually print out the stencil and do it on fake skin a few times before you show up. And so basically the $50 just makes sure that it doesn't cost her money to do your tattoo. And the LLC is just to limit the liability, just to make, you know, somebody could leave and not shower for the next 3 days and let their tattoo get all infected and then try to sue her. And the LLC is what's going to make sure that our personal assets are not exposed to, you know, random ambulance chasers and stuff. By the way, y'all like that Superman curl? You see that? I've had a Superman curl since I was a kid. Where's it at? There it is. You can kind of see it, along with my thinning hair, because I'm 45. So that's how her tattoo business is going. She's done, what is it? I think she's put ink in about 14 or 15 people so far, I think. She does have is it her cousin, I think? I never know for sure, you know, how everybody is interconnected on her side of the family. Just like any family, there's people who are connected by blood, people connected by marriage, people who were connected by marriage for like 20 years. And even though they're technically not family anymore because somebody got a divorce, they're still family. There's, you know, friends of the family who have been closer than family. So pretty sure it's her cousin, but her cousin Kaylee is really good at sitting for tattoos. They're already super close. You know, they already do so much together. So I do think she's about to start tattooing Kaylee for free, but that's because she really, really, really enjoys it. And Kaylee sits really well. And Kaylee is very open to just sort of, for Kaylee, I think it's almost like she just enjoys spending time with her cousin so much that honestly, whatever tattoo, you know, I'm sure she wants some control over the direction of the tattoos, but she's just happy to just sit and hang out and get tattooed and help her cousin out, you know? So that's gonna result, oh neat. That's gonna result in a lot more practice for her as well. Got somebody coming over to the house. Oh yeah, in just a few days actually. Oh is it? We have our, oh, this is so cool. We have our orchestra dinner thing. Is today the 12th? I feel like today is February 12th, which would mean tomorrow we're doing this whole like candlelight orchestra dinner event type thing here in Tucson. So that's cool. But yeah, and then I think like on the 15th or something, she's got another tattoo to do. So she's getting some skin. She's getting some skin time in bit by bit. Travis said, I've always been curious about how new tattoo artists gain clientele and experience. I'll tell you what I've just sort of absorbed by watching her go through all this. This all started with her simply because she liked tattoos and wanted a tattoo. And I found a local artist that, you know, had good reviews and supposedly was pretty professional and stuff. And it was a Valentine's Day gift for Emily, for her to get like a small little $50 tattoo. Nothing special. It's like a flash tattoo, I guess. Just a little bit of text on her arm. And I got that for her because she wanted a tattoo really bad. And the artist did a great job. She was professional. She even emailed or texted, I can't remember which, but she reached out the day before the tattoo and was like, oh yeah, I forgot to ask you, because this is a gift for your wife. If, when I'm tattooing your wife, if she asks me how much the tattoo costs, do you want me to tell her, or do you want me to tell her that I don't discuss the pricing with anybody other than the client, and you'll have to talk to your husband for that? I was super impressed by that. That was the first moment where I went, this is a business. This is a person who wants to make their clientele satisfied and give them a high quality product. You know, like, I could tell it was a professional. And so she got another, her and her mom went and got some matching tattoos from her later. And then we planned another bigger, more expensive tattoo for her that we did later. And, you know, they hung out enough just doing tattoos that they became friends. And it was funny because Emily kind of couldn't believe, what is this? What is, okay, I guess just a little piece of foam. Emily kind of couldn't believe that she was becoming friends. She respected her friend so much that when they started becoming friends, she respected her so much as a tattoo artist, a highly sought after one, that she almost was like, I can't believe she likes me. And I'm like, why wouldn't she like you? Well, now they're besties. You know, her friend moved to Iowa. Now Emily flies out to Iowa at least twice a year. It's like every 4 to 5 months, basically. She flies out to Iowa to visit, and her friend now flies here to Tucson like twice a year to visit. So they're flying back and forth across the country to see each other. But they got a great relationship, and she's a good mentor. She's done a good job of training Emily about the tattoo industry. It's pretty cool. Yeah, I can feel already, just from when I started this hiking again, probably less than a month ago, barely, I can feel such a big difference already in my ability to walk at like a decent sustained pace for 6 miles and talk and still breathe normally. Just a couple weeks ago, I was self-conscious because I could tell, like, I had to either stop talking to catch my breath, or I had to just breathe really hard while I was talking. So these hikes are definitely helping. I have to admit, today, my bone spur is getting pretty damn tender. But then again, I did a 2-mile hike with Silas earlier already today, and now I'm, you know, appears that I'm, yeah, probably a little more than 5 miles into a 6-mile hike. So I'm coming up on 8 miles of hiking. So I guess it's probably okay for my bone spur to hurt a little bit after almost 8 miles of hiking. But I am feeling it, and I haven't usually been feeling it most days. Let's see, for y'all who don't know, most of y'all don't need this, but I do have a new tool at bulletproofhandyman.com in the tools folder, and it is a project estimator where you can upload a video of your project and it will get sent through multiple different layers of AI. And I guess all I can say is just trust me, it's not the same as just sending something to ChatGPT. This is a very polished product that uses multiple layers of different AIs, each of which are good at different things. And it will build you a breakdown of your job. So you don't know what to charge for a particular thing. You take a really thorough video of it, less than 1 minute, but you know, zoom in, zoom out, left, right, up, down, talk while you're doing it, and then go in, and when you upload the video, type in the details. You know, this is 3 feet wide by 6 feet tall. It's got this going on, it's got that going on, whatever details you think it could possibly gain any value from. Tell it all the details, tell it what you want as the final product, submit, and it's gonna come back with a report that's gonna tell you, it's gonna give you a range. This should take between 4 and 6 hours. You should charge between $600 and $900. It's going to give you a breakdown of all the steps involved. It's going to tell you what level of skill is necessary for each of those steps. It's going to give you links to local places like specialty stores that carry the materials that you're going to need. Everything, man, it's crazy. And it's free. It's not free for me. It's costing me actually quite a bit of money right now for y'all to be running it. But I need y'all running it and testing it for me so I can improve it. I need y'all running projects through there and then coming back and telling me how accurate the reporting was, and what the specific mistakes were, if there were any, so that I can tighten down the prompts and the AIs and all that. But that is a free tool right now. So if you don't know what to charge and you don't know what to do, but you kind of want to take the job, this thing will tell you what to charge. It'll tell you what to do. It's all with a grain of salt every time. You always are responsible, you know, for your own research. But man, this thing will get you 95% of the way there. It's pretty crazy. So y'all go try that at bulletproofhandyman.com. And like I said, later on today, the retreat is going to be posted at bulletproofhandyman.com as well. It's nice and quiet out here when I shut up. Harry said, I volunteer with a local Boy Scout troop and will be leading a 50-mile backpacking trip this summer. Cool, man. Is that about 6 days? Y'all gonna try to do about 10 miles a day? I mean, if it's flat ground, there's no reason to not try to cover 16, maybe 25. Some people do 30 miles a day. It's doable, but I would imagine with a group of Boy Scouts, 50-mile trip, that's probably gonna be 5 nights, probably trying to do 10 or 11 miles a day. Would make sense. I was in the Boy Scouts when I was a kid. I miss it. It was fun. I'd like to start a new Boy Scouts, as if I have the fucking time to do that, but I would like to start a new Boy Scouts organization that's more true to what the Boy Scouts were back then. Not that they're bad now. I'm not saying that the Boy Scouts is all messed up today. There's a lot of nuance to a lot of the things that a lot of people are upset about, but I would like to do something that just really goes straight back to the real core of being a Boy Scout, you know, that was on the front of every Boy Scout magazine and every Boy Scout handbook was ponderosa pines and a lake and a canoe with a bunch of scouts in their uniforms in the canoe, and another scout off to the side holding a bow and arrow, and another scout off to the side with an axe splitting wood. It was very much a very, very masculine organization once, and it has lost a lot of the masculinity. Good for you for volunteering too, by the way. When I was in the Air Force, I was a scout master. I didn't even have kids, but I was a scout master for the group on base in the Air Force here at DM. What is this guy? That's a different flower. I got to get my new boots soon. They're actually trying to come apart on my feet right now. I don't usually wear my boots until they're literally coming apart on my feet. I'm usually replacing them earlier than that. Harry said it depends on the campsite and water crossings and distance, but you're pretty accurate. Cool. I know for most adults, you know, like let's say you're not a backpacker, right? It's not a thing you've ever done much of before, or at all. And you're gonna go buy yourself a backpack and a tent and all the gear. You're gonna get the ultralight, whatever. Get your pack to like 15 pounds dry weight. Plus you need to add some food and water. So if you have plenty of water along your route, you can get by with just like 2 liters of water at a time. Some people do even less if you're in an area with plenty of water. So, you know, you're definitely under like a full load 30-pound pack weight, hopefully. Most people with like a couple months of just hiking with their backpack on to get their feet used to it, wearing the shoes that you're gonna wear on the backpacking trip, so you're getting used to them too. Most people can do 10 miles a day pretty damn easily. I mean, what time is it right now? It's 10 o'clock in the morning and I'm coming up on 8 miles at 10 a.m. So clearly you can do 10 or 11 miles a day super easily without almost any chance of plantar fasciitis or shin splints and too many blisters, assuming you've been breaking your boots in ahead of time. But most people can do 10 or 11 miles a day pretty easy. Most people that are kind of experienced and love backpacking. Morning, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
Okay.
But yeah, anybody who backpacks very much, they're probably gonna be trying to put in 16 to like 24 miles a day. That's a good day. Like, that's on uneven terrain, uphill, downhill. That's a nice, you know, get up in the morning, make your breakfast, drink your coffee, get your bag packed up, maybe hit the trail by 9. You'd be surprised how early you wake up when you're in the wilderness and you're not in your comfy bed in your air-conditioned house. Hit the trail by 9, and, you know, 3, 4 p.m. comes around and you're stopping and you're setting up camp again, and you can get in a good 20 miles like that, 25. And then, you know, for the people who really are trying to train, who are trying to impress somebody else or maybe just impress themselves, 30 miles a day is still perfectly doable, especially if the terrain isn't too bad. You can push through 30 miles a day on flat ground for sure, but only if you're starting that whole process off already pretty healthy. Like, very much used to doing it. Like if you're hiking every morning like I am, and the only difference is adding the weight of the backpack. If I needed to just go 30 miles on flat ground, I'll bet you my thighs would be sore by the end of the day, and the bottoms of my feet would be sore by the end of the day. But because I'm wearing the same boots that I always wear and they're already nice and broke in, I'll probably be fine. Get up and do 30 the next day. But 10, very comfortable. 10's comfortable and fun and easy. It's only a few hours of hiking. Average hiking pace about 2 to 3 miles an hour. Call it 3 miles an hour if the kids are, you know, chipper and in a hurry. 3 miles an hour to go, well, let's just say 12 miles. That's 4 hours of hiking. That's 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Easy day. What do we got? Harry said, my troop is still very traditional and holding on to the methods you're talking about. That's great. Harry said, hopefully I can make it out for the convention and we can talk a little scouts and backpacking. I would love that. And Gina, my mom's in here. What's going on? Gina Gwines, that's my mama. Hello. I'm doing 2 hikes today. I hiked with Silas already. He's staying home because he's a little bit sick. He's not super sick, but he's got a recital at school tomorrow that he doesn't want to miss. So we're letting him rest from his sickness today in hopes that he gets enough rest to be really good to go tomorrow. So I hiked with him already, just a nice easy 2-miler. And now I'm on my 6 mile, getting pretty close to home. I saw that high sun. I was like, who's calling me son? Don't call me. Oh, it's my mama. Never mind. She can call me whatever she wants. Oh, well, hello. Get that video edited today, probably published tonight. Y'all look out for that video. I think it's going to be a good one. I've got my fingers crossed that it is like maybe one of my top 5. I would love to see this one take off. I've put a lot of thought into it. I think it's a strangely, like if you're a handyman YouTuber and you wanted to ask, hey, what really important topics have actually not been covered yet? Which should be a very hard question to answer. It turns out one of the very important topics that hasn't really been covered yet is a legal guide to what a handyman can and cannot do. I've seen it covered for California. I've seen it covered in like small ways, but I've never seen a dedicated video that's really just about laying out the landscape around the whole country of what a handyman can and cannot legally do. And then I also built a tool for that, also on bulletproofhandyman.com, where you can go put in, you have to verify your city. So you'll type your city name in and it'll bring up, you'll have to click on one so that we can verify it and we don't have like 8 different misspellings of one city or whatever. But you verify your city and it's going to give you a report for your city and your county and your state about all the ins and outs, about both contractor licensing, whether it's required, what it's required for, what the state's laws are on what you legally as an unlicensed handyman can and cannot do. And it's also going to give you business licensing information, and it's going to look up in your area for special cases, like special downtown business districts that have different regulations, or military bases and Native American reservations and stuff like that, where you need to know that there's something different going on in that area. It'll tell you how much your state's fee is to file your LLC in that state. It'll give you really everything you need to know about your regulatory environment. So that tool is there, but this video is going to be like the verbal description of how to approach answering that question in the first place. No matter where you're at in the whole country, it's going to be almost like a filtering system where you're going to answer one question and, if that's a yes or a no, then you go to this box or that box, and then you answer this question based on the box you just landed in. And it's going to give you an actual system so that you can feel really confident that what you're doing is legal for you to be doing, and that you understand how to become legal to do the things that you'd like to be doing. And it's going to give you the names and numbers to all. So, if it says, hey, in this city, you have to be licensed for this, it's going to give you a website and a phone number to go visit and to go call to actually verify that information. So you don't even have to just trust it, and you shouldn't trust it. You should always verify, but it's going to do most of that work for you and give you a really great bird's eye view of your local regulatory structure. And I don't think anybody's really done anything like that for the handyman world. And for that matter, it works for electricians or anybody. It's not about a handyman. It's about the trades, and it's about what can a tradesperson legally do. Beautiful flowers. Pretty close to home now. I think I hear my boys playing in the backyard. Could be somebody else's kids. It's still a half a block away, but it sounds like it could be them. A lot of chemtrails today. Lots and lots and lots. Y'all don't forget, last thing right before I get home, we have our Texas retreat, April 16th through 19th. I'll have it on the Bulletproof Handyman website today. Before I go to bed today, that event will be there for y'all to sign up for. So get signed up for that today. Don't forget that's sponsored by Next Insurance. It's free for you. I've already paid for it. I've already reserved the lodging. Spent over $3 grand just for that. It's paid for. It's happening April 16th through 19th. Next Insurance is ultimately paying for all of it. Well, some's coming out of my pocket, but most of it. But it couldn't happen without them. So if y'all want them to continue doing this, go get a quote. Use my link in the description and go get a quote. That's how it works. I show them value by sending y'all to get quotes. They pay for us to have big, awesome retreats all over the country. That's how it works. So do your part and go get a quote. If it ain't for you, don't buy it, but go get the quote. Let them know you appreciate them sponsoring our community. With all that being said, there's that big, beautiful flag again and a bunch of chemtrails behind it. But I love you guys. I hope you're out there killing it, and I'll see y'all on the next one.